Nobody wants to buy the wrong classic car. Over the last 6 years, I've bought and sold over 100 cars, which means I'm well placed to look at the things to look at when you're test driving a classic. In this video, we're going to look at the important things to consider when test driving a classic. You're all poised for the test drive and you're ready to get into the classic. The main thing is, do you actually fit in there? Take this lovely Merc. So as you can see, plenty of space in here. Oh, I've got fairly long legs and there's plenty of space. Adjust the seats, forward and aft there. And you've also got the backrest, which is also adjustable. Just bear in mind on some classics though, the seats won't be adjustable. Has it got an adjustable steering wheel as well? Up or down, telescopic. A few classics will have that. The main thing to bear in mind is if you're buying an older classic, something that was designed in the 50s or 60s, they tend to be a little bit smaller than today's cars. So you want to make sure you actually fit in it and are comfortable before you buy it. The second point is smoke on startup. Easy for me to say. So what we're going to do, we're going to start up this Mercedes, head round the back and see if there's any smoke. As you can see with this Mercedes, it's absolutely fine. There's no horrible blue oily smoke coming out, which might mean that the valve guides are on the way out, or equally there's no horrible white smoke, which might indicate a worn head gasket or some other issue, particularly with a turbo. If you can, just pop your hand over there, a couple of inches away from the exhaust pipe and have a look. What you're looking for, is there any dirt, any oil, any water there for any reason? The other thing to consider is if you're test driving a car in the winter and it's got a choke, it's highly likely that it's going to smoke first thing. Just until the engine clears, push the choke in and then there shouldn't be any smoke. So let's assume that you're nice and comfy in your classic. First thing I want to look at is gearbox. So this is a Mercedes, it's an automatic. We're going to pop it into drive. Okay, you can hear it just select there. Just look behind my shoulder here, make sure that there's nothing behind. And then we'll just pull out into the traffic here. So what you're looking for with an auto gearbox is as it goes through the changes, is it nice and smooth? Just bear in mind that some of the older automatics might be a little bit clunky. It's just technology and they're all gearboxes. So if it does kind of clunk between gears, don't worry too much. So we'll just accelerate here and as you can tell, just goes through the gears nice and smoothly. A clutch operated car, manual, slightly different of course because what you've got there is a clutch and a traditional gearbox, not an automatic. You need to just make sure that the clutch bite point isn't too high. That might indicate that the clutch is on its way out or might need replacement, which on some cars can be quite a complicated job. With an automatic box, what you're looking at there is does the kick down work, so we'll just give it a bit more. So you can tell there it just picks up quite nicely. Yeah, kick down works. With a manual gearbox, you just need to make sure that the gear changes are nice and smooth, fairly positive as well. Some gearboxes are a little bit slushier than others. If you're looking at a classic Mini, the main thing to look out for with a gearbox is, on a manual, is the synchro between second and third. So, does the gear change between second and third? Changing up and changing down, is that okay? Mini gearboxes as well on the old 8 series can be a little bit problematical, quite difficult and expensive to repair as well, so just bear that in mind. Auto gearboxes, manual gearboxes, just make sure that it drives as it should, it's smooth. Let's turn our attention now to the instrumentation. So you just want to check that everything works. Speedo, odometer, rev counter, clock, fuel gauge. I've got an econometer in this Merc as well, so that's working nicely. Temperature gauge as well. So generally speaking, a car should run either centrally, halfway, or just below or just above. That's what you want. If it's running too hot, that might indicate a problem with the cooling of the car. If it's running too low, too cold, again, a problem with the car. Not the end of the world, but these are just pointers really. Check for any warning lights on the dash. Is there anything there that's of concern, anything of worry? Generally speaking, the more modern cars will get more warning lights on there. If something is showing, again, just make sure you understand what's going on there. A variety of traffic and a variety of roads is always good on a test drive. So if you are in a bit of a traffic jam, it's not the end of the world, because it just means you want to make sure that the electric fan kicks in, if it has got one. We just went over a few bumps there and a few potholes, and that's the other thing really. That's the next thing you need to look at. So how does the car ride over bumps? Does it bang and crash, which might indicate the shock absorbers are maybe on their way out, if it has shock absorbers? If it's a car like a Citroen with the hydropneumatic suspension, or a Metro, or a Princess, or an Allegro, something with Hydrograss, they should be pretty smooth. If they're not, that might indicate a problem, which could be potentially a financially kind of expensive thing to put right. Listen for creaks, listen for rattles. Generally speaking, the Classic might be 30, 40, 50-year-olds, so you might have a few rattles. This Mercedes is 40 years old, and the rattles are at a minimum, as you would expect. So power assisted steering in this Mercedes, does it whine? Well, no, it doesn't in this one. If it does whine, particularly at lower speed, does that mean that the pump's on its way out? Or do you need to top up the fluid for the power assisted steering? Check the radio, check the air con if it's got it. Might just need a regas, or it might be a leak in the system. Fundamental things. Indicators, do they work? Yes, they do. Horn, yes, it does. So we'll test the indicator here on this roundabout, which is working fine. Do the heater controls work? Does it blow out cold air? If it's not blowing out cold air and you only get hot air, why is that? Likewise as well, if you're not getting any hot air blowing through, that might indicate the head gasket's on its way out. Bit of a generalisation, but again, it's just these little hints and tips. So we've covered a few of the main things there to look out for. The next thing is just making sure there's nothing behind you. You just want to test the brakes. So if I hit the brakes in this Mercedes, yep, like that, what you're looking for is to make sure the car pulls up evenly, doesn't pull to one side. If it pulls to one side, it means that the brakes need adjustment. Maybe the calipers up front aren't doing the job. So that's the test drive over and done with. Hopefully you found those pointers useful. A few other things that you might want to consider when you first arrive for the test drive. Number one, are there any signs of oil or other kind of lubricant or fluid on the garage floor where the car's stored or on the drive? And the other thing to consider is the engine warm? So has the seller taken the car around the block just to warm it through to get it going? That might be an indication that perhaps it's not so good starting from cold. If you've liked what you've seen today, click on like and click on subscribe. More videos coming soon.